Hi, my name is Gareth Stirling and I'm a web development and UX recruitment specialist for Corvus Recruitment, Corvus.jobs. This is our first entry in a series of video blogs called WebTalksNI. Here we'll be talking with local web development specialists on various topics, for instance how they got into web development and the training they undertook, the key technologies they see as important in 2018. Our first guest here is Paul McBride. He's a local PHP and JavaScript specialist. Not only has Paul agreed to do this short video today, but he's also going to be writing a series of blogs over the course of 2018. I was keen to get Paul involved as he's already very active on social media. He has his own YouTube channel, his own blog that he updates on a regular basis, and he's the perfect candidate to get started. Paul, so when did you first develop an interest in coding in general?
So I started being interested in tech from a very young age. I never really thought I could make a career out of it, but from about the age of 13 or 14, I started messing around with Yahoo GeoCities. I don't know if you ever remember that. Yeah.
So when age there.
Yeah. So when I was a little kid, I started making websites for online games I played. So one of the games I played a lot was RuneScape. I built a little clan website and stuff for that.
Brilliant.
And at the time it was just a bit of fun. I never thought I'd actually end up doing that for a living, but
yeah, that's interesting because I actually read about other developers who started back in the 80s developing games for like Spectrum and Commodore, and then suddenly they're in they're full scale game developers now, like Rockstar and all those big companies. Interesting. So you took quite an unusual route into web development. Can you tell us a wee bit more about that?
Yeah, so as I was saying, I never really thought, I had no idea you could make money and make a living from coding. So from I was about 9 years old, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and that was to leave school and join the Air Force. So I did. At 18, I joined the Royal Air Force as a policeman.
Excellent.
And spent just under 5 years working around the world, serving with the RAF, which was quite an experience. From there, I kind of realised that I spent a lot of time away from home. I didn't get to see my friends or family very often, and decided I wanted to move back home again. So the way I figured out I could do software development was I went on to Google and I searched for well-paid jobs in Belfast, and software developer popped up. And I was like, I could probably figure that out. I had a little bit of experience with Yahoo GeoCities and stuff. So I started using online courses to learn how to code. So I started with Code Academy, if you've heard of that.
Yes.
And once I was comfortable with that, I subscribed to Team Treehouse, an American company that do a lot of video tutorials and stuff. And stuck at that for about 6 months, and then started applying for jobs here in Belfast.
That's interesting, because a common misconception is that you need to have a degree in IT to be considered, but you're living proof that that's not the case.
Yeah, I think that's becoming more and more common now. For every job I've worked in since moving back, I've worked with at least one other person that got into tech the same way I did by learning themselves. Brilliant.
Okay. So if somebody was considering a second career or a recent graduate looking to get into web development, what would be your advice? How would they get started?
The best way I think anyone can get started is to start building little things yourself. And that probably sounds really scary and intimidating, but sign up to something like Code Academy or Team Treehouse. Spend a couple of hours each week or each night if you have the time, and build your own little portfolio of simple websites or whatever it is you're interested in building. Whenever you have a portfolio, an example of your work, you can then start applying for jobs, because most employers care far more about the fact that you can do your job than you have a bit of paper from a university. So my advice is start building things, sign up to online tutorials and get started.
Yeah, no, that's 100%, because a lot of our clients, you still have some old school clients that look for a third level qualification, but that's rare now. More is experience. As you say, if you have a portfolio of work, something you can talk about at interview, chances are that you'll at least get an audience, if not, as you say, a job. Okay. So obviously you mentioned it there that for some people the thought of moving into software development can be quite intimidating. What would you see as the key attributes that somebody needs to have to be successful? For instance, do you need to be good at maths or?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of people think computer science is quite maths heavy, and in certain fields it can be. If you're working with data science or anything like that, there can be maths involved in that, but it's not anything that can't be learned. If you're more interested in web development, like building websites and things like that, maths rarely comes into it.
Okay.
There is the occasion where you're trying to work out percentage widths and stuff, but maths isn't really a thing for that. Probably the best part of a job like this would be the fact that you work online, so the community is essentially the globe. Probably sounds fairly cheesy, but even local communities. In Belfast here we have Belfast JS, PHP Belfast. There's loads of people there that are willing to help, and if you can get in touch with the right person, reach out to someone on Twitter, anything like that, it's really common for people to coach others.
That's interesting, because you mentioned there the local meetups like Belfast JS, PHP Belfast, and it does seem to be quite a community where developers are involved, and again it's something obviously we're looking to help in any which way we can with these video blogs, for instance. Okay. From a technical point of view then, what do you see as the more important developments in the industry coming into 2018?
2018, I think it's going to be really interesting. Things that are becoming more and more popular technology-wise would be serverless technologies.
Okay.
So the idea that you can run a website without needing to manage your own infrastructure. Amazon Web Services offer that kind of service for basically free. Another thing that I think is going to be really important, especially over the next few years, is machine learning. We're starting to see that more and more in a lot of companies in Northern Ireland who are using, again, Amazon's kind of services for tagging images or processing huge amounts of data that would take humans literally hundreds of years to do. And it's given us health data, for example, would be a really good example of that. You run that through advanced machine learning algorithms, you get to figure out a whole bunch of stuff that you just can't pick up yourself. So I think machine learning is something that certainly I'm going to be spending some time learning in this coming year. Okay,
interesting. Brilliant. From a personal point of view then, how do you see your own career developing? I know you mentioned that you like to get into coaching yourself. Can you tell us a wee bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier that the community for software development is really friendly and welcoming. I had a mentor when I first got started, someone who volunteered their time to help me learn to code, and it's something I really enjoy doing now that I've had the chance to work as a senior developer and have people working under me. I am happiest when I'm pair programming with someone or teaching them how to code. So my ultimate goal, I think, is to make that my career. So coaching other people and creating learning resources for developers getting started.
Brilliant, excellent. Okay, well that's pretty much wraps up our very first WebTalksNI video interview. As I say, follow Paul here on social media, his various YouTube, Twitter channels, and if you're seeking to get into web development, Paul will be a great resource to utilise.